Well, thank you so much for coming. I know that it's a very difficult time to come to any meeting during the end of June month. Everybody is working hard because they need to leave for vacations. Summer vacations, the most important thing we have the Swedish during the summer. So thank you very much for here. I want to welcome you. I'm afraid the director of the International Affairs need to leave for another meeting right now, so I have to say welcome. I love very much meet you because all friends, new friends, because it's South Korea. I have 20 years experience working with South Korea. I like very much to work with you, with your country. I see the possibilities for collaboration between Sweden and South Korea in investments, exports, innovation, research, collaboration. That's the reason we're here today. So the first, we want to invite to one from the Embassy of South Korea in Stockholm to welcome you. Please, welcome.
Hello.
It is working. Right.
Okay. Hello, my name is Dokwan. I'm from Korean Embassy. So happy to be here to meet all of you today. So I prepared my short remarks by answering 3 questions. That is, why Sweden, why Korea, and why Sweden, and why now? So for first question, why Korea? I want to first of all say that Korea is very innovative country. So according to the Bloomberg Innovation Index, it has been the #1 country for the past 6 years. And in terms of economy, it's quite big too. So it has joined 30-50 Club, which stands for $30,000 GDP per capita and 50 million people in population. So it is quite a big country. And other than Korea, there's only United States, Japan, Germany, France, England, and Italy. So it's quite big. And also, it's very well located. It's in between Japan and China, and it's only like 2 or 3 hours away from Southeast Asian countries. So it's very well located and also connected to the mega markets such as the EU and the US because of its FTAs. So yes, Korea is quite attractive country to look on. But I want to talk about Sweden. Why Sweden? Why Sweden should be interested in Korea then? There could be many reasons, but I want to say just one thing. That is, Sweden is very loved by Korea. So it has very strong smart power. For Korean citizens, Sweden is very well known for its innovation and high technology. But other than that, there are many good, nice words about Sweden, like the human rights and gender equality, non-discrimination, you just name it. So basically, when you visit Korea and you introduce yourself that you're from Sweden, then Korean people, in most of the cases, will welcome you. So okay, so we know the Korea is very attractive, and Sweden is loved by Koreans. But why now? Why now is so important to us? Yes, it is the 60th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the 2 countries, but so what? So what is it for the business matters? But I would say that it is important in business matter too, because we just had our state visit to Stockholm. And during the President Moon Jae-in's visit to Stockholm, he was very focused on business sector. So on 14th of June, there was business summit, and there were more than 200 people of entrepreneurs and politicians and government officials participating in that event. And also there was Prime Minister Levin. And after that 14th event, on 15th, they have announced, the 2 leaders announced that they will cooperate in many things, including the business sector and smart cities and everything. So I think we have the great momentum. So my present may be shortened to one sentence. That is, please be tuned into the upcoming visit, the delegation visit to Korea, because there's huge support from the both sides and also the political leadership. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your welcome, for sharing your time with us, being here today. I would like to invite the Director of National Research Foundation of Korea in Stockholm, Director Soo Moon. Please. I will change this one. This is yes. Yeah.
Hi everyone.
It's working. It was working. No, Robert.
Hi everyone. My name is Son Young-moon. I'm director of the Stockholm office, National Research Foundation of Korea. Today I'll give a presentation on science innovation of Korea. First of all, I want to mention that this presentation was originally made by
Jag har just ett möte
Sweden
om Sydkorea, men om det är kort, gärna hjälper till.
Oops. And I updated some statistics and modified
Kan jag ringa
some
dig
pages in it.
typ klockan 3?
Excuse me.
Kanon. Tack så mycket.
These are 4 main contents I want to share with you today. First, I'll brief about science and technology overview of Korea. South Korea is a small country in its land size, less than 1/4 of Sweden, but its population is 50 million, so 5 times more than that of Sweden. So South Korea is quite densely populated country. Korea now became the most rapidly developed country in the world and a global market leader in IT products like smartphones, lithium battery, chemicals, and steel, shipbuilding, so on. Korea is pioneer in the information and communication technology sector and ranked number 1 in the 2019 Bloomberg Innovation Index. According to International Telecommunication Unions, measuring the Information Society Report 2017, South Korea ranked the 2nd among 176 countries in the annual ICT Development Index. Korea is passionate about education and has a high college graduation rate. This rate in the 25 to 34 age group is 70%, the highest among OECD nations. In the QS higher education system strength rankings, Korea ranked the 9th in the world. Korea is one of the world's top 10 economies in terms of foreign reserves, exports, total trade. And we Koreans are kind of picky to services and quality of goods and very sensitive to fashions. So it's quite difficult to satisfy the Korean customers. That's why Korea became the world testbed market for global business sectors. In the World Banking's Doing Business 2018 report, Korea was ranked 5th easiest place in the world to do business. I think there are several unique merits you can experience in Korea. There are some public transportation and public services, so on. And the price of electricity and water are another strong point in Korea. The capital city Seoul provides good environment for startup companies. It has strength in engineering talent and technical infrastructure and economic foundation and so on. So Chris Go, the co-founder of Spark Lab Ventures, he mentioned the strong ICT infrastructure and demographic factor made Seoul one of the best cities for startups. And we all know the Stockholm is the best of best for startups. It manages a mix of great products, engineering skills, Nordic design, and its international culture. Let's turn to local government sector. The former President Park Geun-hye was impeached for corruption and abuse of power by the Candlelight Revolution, which was non-violent peace movement by Korean civilians. And then current President Moon was elected president in 2017, and his government is considered kind of liberal. And this slide just for local governments. I think this could be overlapped with business environments. So I skip this one. Now it's about government structure and S&T organizations. This is Moon Jae-in administration organizations. The ministry we are mostly interested in terms of science and innovations are number 3, Minister of Science and ICT, and number 11, Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, and number 18, Minister of SMEs and Startups. These slides for Science and Technology Administration System of Korea. It begins with PACST, Presidential Advisory Council and S&T. And below that, there is a National S&T Council, which plans major S&T policies, and there are some related government ministries. NLF, I belong to, is under Ministry of Science and ICT and Ministry of Education, specializing in supporting various R&D projects. KIAT, as Korea Institute for Advancement of Technology, is under Ministry of Trade and Industry and Energy, specializing in promoting industrial technology innovation and development. Now you can see each ministry has their own representative funding agencies. So you can check which funding agencies has connection to which ministries. Let's turn to R&D in Korea. According to OECD definition, expenditure on R&D is a key indicator of a country's innovative efforts. These are total R&D expenses by countries. So blue lines for Korea, green lines for Sweden. As you can see, Korea's R&D expenditures percentage of GDP is 4.24%. It's actually highest in the world that year. This is for only Sweden and Korea. Again, the blue lines for Korea, and green lines for Sweden. I know Sweden is also highest on R&D expenditure among EU countries, and its figures looks kind of stable around 3.3%. R&D expenditure has very high portion in total government budget in Korea. The Korean government spent $16 billion for R&D investments in 2016. That's 1.17% of GDP, also highest among OECD countries. Total government R&D budget for 2018 is $19.66 billion. As you can see in the left side, right side, Ministry of Science and ICT spent almost 1/3 of total R&D budget, and then Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy spent 16%. this is about how the Ministry of Science and ICT is organized. This table shows how much each sector represents the overall R&D expand. So you can see the private sector occupy 75% of GERD. And those figures kind of high compared to that of other nations. Among private sector's R&D expenditures, 75% was spent by large corporations in Korea. So, oops, it cannot move. Last pages. These are number of universities ranked in the world's top 500 universities by countries. Korea has 14 and Sweden has 8 universities. Korea mainly focuses on investing in 60 related technology. So 2/3 of GERD goes into these technology fields. Among them, IT received the biggest amount of funding in the last 4 years. These are the R&D joint programs NRF is supporting with Swedish funding agencies. We are supporting research collaboration program with VR, and we are doing some research exchange program with STINT, and we are supporting also the top-down strategic research collaboration program with SSF. Yeah, this is all I got. Tack så mycket. So if you have any questions, please email me. Thank you.
Can I ask you the ratio between government and public spending on research? If you would do it like a pie chart, how the percentage? Is it like 75% private sector spending on R&D and 25% public sector? And what's the ratio between public and private sector spending on R&D? I think you had all the figures in the presentation.
Private is actually 75%. So, you know, Samsung and LG is a big conglomerate. They spend, you know, almost all of R&Ds in Korea. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. To invite Anders. Welcome. I was Science Innovation Counselor in Seoul. He's here, but he's in Seoul.
Thank you.
I need to find your 3 slides. Yeah.
Hello. Nice to see you all after lunch. Everybody's still awake. So my name is Anders Hector. I'm Science and Innovation Counselor at in Seoul from April, but I'll be there full time from August. I've been working previously at Enterprise and Innovation for 11 years, and I have a background as a researcher. I also used to be a science attaché, science and technology attaché, as it was called earlier, in Tokyo. And Tokyo used to cover Seoul and Korea. But from this year, there will be a full-time representation in Seoul for the first time. Not because Korea has been less important before, but it's continuously becoming more important and more relevant. So now it's not possible anymore to not be there. I'll come back to how many we are and where we are. So when I was an attaché, it was more a matter of networking and connecting and finding information. But the role we have now at the Science and Innovation Office is more of strategic cooperation, strategic partnerships. It's clearly in the fields of science, innovation, and higher education. And we have 5 overarching objectives. We want more and stronger strategic partnerships in these 3 areas. We want increased knowledge among actors in Sweden about Korea and about the innovation system in Korea. We want increased interest in Sweden as a knowledge nation in Korea. So in Korea should understand more about Sweden. We think is a good idea. We want more and stronger foreign investments in science and innovation in Sweden, coming from Korea and other countries, of course, as well. And increased inflow of skills, of talents, of human capital. So these are the 5 overall objectives that we're working on. Again, in the 3 areas of science, innovation, and higher education. We are in 6 countries now from this year. Washington, Brasilia, Delhi, Beijing, Tokyo, and now Seoul. And we are supported by a secretariat here in Stockholm, Erik Åstedt, among others are helping us, and also VR and the other institutions, Vinnova of course, are giving us support. We are jointly funded by the Ministries of Enterprise and Innovation, Ministry of Education and Research, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Infrastructure, and we're of course closely cooperating with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well. And we have a the Secretariat is coordinating this work here in Stockholm. We are sitting at the embassies, not with Business Sweden, could have been that, but we're sitting at the embassies, so we're part of the work there. What we do is overlapping somewhat with what the embassy has as a task to promote Sweden abroad, and also with what Business Sweden is doing. So we liaise with Business Sweden and the embassy and with other agencies as well. It's not just me. I have an advisor working with me, Sejong Yoon, and of course the team at the embassy in general. And this is a really good time to start working because the president came. I don't think it was for me. It could have been, but there were probably other reasons as well why the president came. He visited, of course, the royal family and the prime minister. But what makes it so good for me is that we have now at least 2 important MOUs that will help the networking between Sweden and Korea. One MOU in the area at the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy on industrial cooperation, and we're going to have there a joint industrial cooperation committee working. So we're going to meet and discuss these issues. So there's real substance in this MOU. Even more substance perhaps with the MOU with the Ministry of Startups, MSS, Ministry of SMEs and Startups. Thank you. Where one of the items say that the Koreans are going to start a Korean startup center in Stockholm. Fantastic. We're so much looking forward to that, and we have already started working on that. And we had a meeting a couple of days ago during the state visit with the agencies involved, the Korean COSME and Business Sweden, to start flesh out how we're going to proceed with this. And the objective is to have it up and running next year. So I'm available to help you guys if you need help in some ways, and I'm looking forward to meet. Oh yeah, and you should come to Korea, of course. But we'll come back to that later, right, Zero?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Then with that. Regional Kotra in Stockholm. Please, Mr. Choi Byung-gun. What is your presentation? Is this, isn't it? Yes, and you're here. Welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Byung Choi from KOTRA. It stands for Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency. KOTRA was established in 1962, and KOTRA store volume was opened in 1970. Our main mission is to promote and support trade between Korea and overseas countries, and to support to induce foreign investment inbound and outbound. So today is my great pleasure to introduce Korean economy. Let's turn to my topic. Yeah, this is again, I would like to explain the economic indicator of Korea and Korea Swedish economic cooperation situation, and also certain growth engines of Korea. Oh, just this is KOTRA. You know well, this was happened the last Friday, business summit in here. Then it's organized by Kita and Business Sweden, and also our KOTRA. Let's see GDP. Korea is one of the fastest growing countries of GDP concern. It's the nominal GDP based year ranked 11th, but PPP concern year ranked 13th. Even though 2008 our total GDP $290 billion only, but PPP concern $41,000 per capita. Yeah, very strong demand. I'd like to explain like that. GDP growth concern. 2008, it ranked record 2.7. Now 2019, this year I mean, maybe it's decrease a little, and 2.4 point expect. Anyway, Korea, you see that from 2004, now we are ranked steadily 11th. I hope so, more, but it's not easy way. Anyway, this is a trend. And Korea is the top 10 export countries. 2008, yeah, ranked the 6th worldwide. Our export amount is 60 billion more, and this is just I show. Export concern. There is some remarkable things. In 2017, Korea's export is $573.7 billion, and also 2008, Korea's increased by 5.4 points. So your record 600,000 billions is the top 6. Yeah. In 2009, unfortunately, some decreasing trend, but I'm not sure by the end of the year how it's going. I know this trend. Type export types. You can see the map, semiconductor, general machinery, automobiles, petrochemical, ships, or something like that. Those kind of items are composed of the Korea's total. 70%, around 80% of the Korea total export. That's the how can you say it's a Korean strong point, or in other way, it's our weak point. It should diversify. Try to now. In 2008, anyway, the record high export is because of the semiconductor export. But you can see, the semiconductor increasing rate is around 30%. Import concern, 2010 also increased, 11.9%, so it's ranked $535.2 billion. In 2009, I mean from January to April, it's decreased a little, 4.5%. Top import items, almost same, semiconductor manufacturing equipment, petroleum products, wireless communication. It's almost similar as our export item. The reason why Korea is, manufacturer to import raw materials, something like that, and it can, make a finished product to export. That's why, export and import items are almost similar, or it's composed of the raw material, or, same finished items. And also 2010 import growth rate, semiconductor, you can see that. It's, without, gas or the natural world, it's tough. You can understand like that. Innovation, they already explained, Korea is in consecutive 3 years, ranked the top. This is in 2010 concern South Korea, almost the same. Second, Sweden. Business environment concern. It's so amazing to build on the joint. It's the same by the market sales, co-CEO, Mandela, Hella Electronic Corp. He's the foreign investor. They just his plan is good environment to work for as a foreign nurse. Also, Korea is ranked Forbes easiest country for doing business among 190 countries. FTA concern. I cannot say how many Korea has a FTA, how many countries. Almost it did. So just I would like to see show the map. Now even you are worried about the Brexit, but the Korean company doesn't worry about Brexit. You already make a FTA, the U.S. United Kingdom recently. This is the Korean situation. Advance in your business in Korea, maybe good. You don't meet any barrier to any foreign countries to export or something like that. Okay, just see the our Korea's macroeconomic indicator. This is Korea, Sweden's economic very short, but anyway, export and import Korea, Sweden. 2018, the export means export from Korea is recorded 1 billion. It's over. It's first time. Anyway, it's another stage. And import concern 18 billion. Almost imported. This is import from Sweden. Export from Korea. Korea imported from your countries automobiles, steel freight, agricultural and pharmaceuticals, and prime movers and pump and power equipment measurement and analysis instruments, plastic products. This is the top 7. And also, vice versa, Korea export to automobiles. Maybe you can find easily the Kia, eco-friendly, and steel freight, accumulate, and water part, synthetic resin, rubber products, and computer. Now, our trade volumes are trying to be increased little by little. And this is major economic cooperation projects. For example, electric vehicle battery, LG Chemical and Volvo Car. And also CIS and Northvolt. just fintech, Samsung Electronics, and the Swedish credit company and the bank. Energy, HANA, QCell, and Clarion Sign Hotel. They already had some projected. And bio, pharma research product and promo pharma AB. And also last Saturday, AstraZeneca. Kotra and AstraZeneca and the Korean Bio Health Association signed letter of intention. Very, very huge amount. AstraZeneca already issued. He'll invest $6.5 billion. No. 650 million dollars to the Korea Bio Health field in 5 years. Yeah, something. RT, KT and Ericsson, and the Primo 5 projects. And startup concern, the Korean government issued set up Korea Startup Center in Stockholm by next year. Maybe good. In this regard, I think, through the, last our President Moon's visit, we have another, stage to live up our relation and persuade. I expect so. And just this is, I'll just show you, that it's very low. Growth engine of Korea. Yeah, post-industrial revolution. Your government has proceeded some project, also our government proceeded like this kind of things. Also, a lot, Mr. Moon, our president issued, 3 fields, biohealth and NUCA, I mean the eco-friendly, and also ICT. Among all those 3 fields, maybe there are a lot of possibility to, cooperation together. This is, 13 innovative growth engines of Korea. And also this is more detailed information. Big data, artificial AI, 5G networks, and IoT, self-driving vehicles, drone, personalized healthcare, smart city is one of the Korea's strong point, strong field. And augmented and virtual reality, AR, VR. Intelligent robot, intelligent semiconductor, advanced materials, innovative medicine, and renewable energy. This is our 13th, growth engine. You see that? It's me. The CEO of the investor group. Very tall. And also, where? Business Sweden CEO. And also Kotra CEO. Also, this is a scene of the, AstraZeneca's ROI. It's me. And last year, he did a lot of things and he met a lot of, Swedish businessmen, and also I'm sure that our business relation will be for sure much more than people. Thank you.
Thank you so much for so informative presentation. And now I need to introduce my Business Sweden. Fredrik Udenfeldt, please. Yes. And this is, of course, you. This is this one. There.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be back here and glad to be talking about Korea. Now these very intense Korea days. So Korea is what we sometimes choose to call the best kept business secret in Asia. Of course, sometimes people say the best kept vacation secret, etc. about certain parts of Southeast Asia. But Korea is sometimes a market that Swedish companies sometimes forget about. It's a very good market for Swedish companies. The companies who are there are doing very good business, but we believe that there could be much more Swedish companies doing business in Korea. and I'll tell you a little bit why. Some parts of my presentation will be a repetition of things previously said, so I'll skip quickly through those. Here, most of this has been mentioned, but it's also worth mentioning that Korea has a large number of free trade agreements with the rest of the world. So it's also a good base for manufacturing and I mean, also importing and exporting, including, of course, with the European Union since a few years back. And one of the most ambitious free trade agreements that the European Union has. And Korea is also, of course, a very, very educated society, more so than Sweden, with 70% of the population going to university, and of course, as been previously mentioned, ranking very high in terms of ease of doing business. Korea also has a number of industries where at the very technological forefront on the global market, and many of these are also, of course, relevant for Sweden. Even though my phone happens to be from an American brand, it's probably in many ways more Korean than it is American, with a lot of Korean components, and chances are also that these components were fitted into this phone using Swedish technology, as far as we know. So that tells you something about how Sweden and Swedish companies and Korean companies work together in global value chains. And of course, as during the state visit last week, the president also outlined 3 priority sectors for the Korean economy, and 2 of these, at least, match very well with Swedish priorities, namely biopharma and ICT and next generation communications, and of course next generation transportation, driverless and new energy transportation. Of course, all areas where Sweden is strong, and there's a strong potential for collaboration between Korea and Sweden. Now, the Korean economy is still to a large degree characterized by very big companies, and most of these are bigger than the biggest Swedish companies, far bigger even than ABB or IKEA. And these companies making everything from televisions to batteries and whatnot, basically everything there is to produce. So these companies are, of course, for Swedish companies, these customers are, of course, key to most business opportunities. But of course, it might be challenging for medium-sized or small-sized Swedish companies to start doing business with these large conglomerates who have very high requirements. Swedish people can probably name 3 to 4 of these, but not more than so. But still, the rest are also global giants in their fields. Korea is the manufacturing market in Korea, even though it's of course smaller in absolute level than Germany. It's a very high-tech oriented manufacturing sector. 76% of the market is characterized as high-tech, which of course means that there is a demand for high-tech manufacturing equipment, which of course many Swedish companies supply, and that's where the big bulk of Swedish companies operating in Korea are there to serve the Korean manufacturing and innovation industries. And lastly, as has been previously mentioned by many of the previous speakers, there is really a very strong momentum right now in Korea-Sweden ties from the state visit, and both, I mean, between our Prime Minister and the President, very good and close relations, and a very strong agreement to really work more closely together. This is from the visit at Ericsson on Friday, and that's from the business summit, where we really got proof that there is there's a very good case in working closely, more closely together between Korea and Sweden. And Business Sweden, just lastly, we have a team, quite a big team in Korea, have been there for quite some years. So we have almost 10 people there in our team in Korea, helping, of course, both Swedish companies to go to explore and succeed on the Korean market, but also helping Korean companies to invest and expand in Sweden, which we also hope to see more of in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fredrik. And now I think we need to change computers. I'm going to invite my friend and colleague from Vinnova, working as National Project Coordinator for Eureka. Are you connected? efter Peter Lindberg. Du kan sätta på min computer där.
Okay, so you can hear me very well. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Peter Lindberg. I'm coming from Vinnova, working in the international department, and especially with a program called Eureka. And why then is the Eureka and the Eureka network important when you want to work with Sweden and Korea in research and innovation collaboration? Well, we are both parts of this big network. It's a quite big network now. It's was 44 members and now it's even 45 because last week Argentina was joined the club. So it's really becoming a worldwide network for collaboration. And the basic way of operating in Eureka is that we work with collaborative projects, and you have to be at least two. Two countries have to be involved, and one participant from each country. And then, of course, it can be much bigger and much more complicated, but two partners, one from each country, that is the starting point. And now I'm going to move on and talk a little bit in detail of Eureka and the different instruments. So here's the Eureka 3 of our collaboration instruments, and we have a few programs. And today I'm going to focus a little bit more on Eurostars up there and the cluster projects, because these are very good instruments for cooperation between Sweden and Korea. We have both good support on national level for these programs. And if we dive a little bit deeper into Eurostars, this is the program especially for small and medium-sized companies. But because it's a Eureka program, it's also about collaboration with everyone. So it has to be a small and medium-sized enterprise, an SME, that takes the lead in the project. And in this case, it can be on the Korean side, or it could be a Swedish company. It's bottom-up, so the project consortia themselves decide what's best for the project. And then this SME can collaborate with other SMEs. They can collaborate with large industry and research organizations, universities, and also other types of organizations. And as I said, the project is bottom up, and that means that it is the consortium themselves, and especially the lead SME, that are building a consortium to put their idea on the market. It could be an idea for an innovative product process, or a service. And the projects are market-oriented, and there's a special rule that the project continue for a maximum of 3 years, 36 months, and after that you have 2 additional years to have something on the market. A product, service, or innovative process. So something has to come out of the market. And there is some exception to this rule in the life science sector, because there we know we have the clinical trials, and you're allowed to do the clinical trials and then still have 2 years to market. And what's also is a bit special about the Eurostars program, it's within the Eureka network, which is an intergovernmental network where countries and governmental agencies that support innovation is collaborating. But we also have a partner in EU. We had the European Commission also as a partner in the Eureka network, and we are collaborating with them in the Eurostars program. So 25% of the funding in the Eurostars program comes from EU, and 75% comes from the member countries. and Korea and Sweden is among these countries. So I can also say that for this program, the projects are you apply on the national level. You have a Eurostar's secretariat in Brussels, so the applications are sent there for evaluation. And then when the evaluation process is finalized, you come back again to your country and apply for funding. So this is a way of having international collaboration, but in the end you also have the connection to your national agency, and you can discuss problems and so on in your own language with your own agency. And this is another advantage of the Eurostars program. And here is a map showing the Eurostars countries. So it's almost all of the Eureka countries. Some are still not involved, but there's a large pool of countries to collaborate with. So there's very strong opportunity for collaboration with many different companies and organizations from around the world in the Eurostars. And this was the SME program, and then we want the SME to be in the driving seat of the rocket. So they are the project leader. In fact, 70% of the participants in Eurostars projects are R&D performing SMEs and SMEs. And what is then an R&D performing SME? Yeah, that's a small and medium-sized country that has a large proportion of the staff is working with R&D activities, or a large proportion of the budget is spent on R&D activities. So it should be around 10%. And it's when we calculate this, we also think a lot about development. So it's not all about basic research. A lot of development, very innovative development projects are ongoing in these companies, and they count too. So there's a lot of SMEs that, both in Sweden and Korea, that can easily qualify to be R&D performing SMEs. But then also to have good collaboration, we also invite the universities and the large companies. And they are very often present in these projects as an interested customer in the end to maybe take up the innovations developed in the project. And since Eurostars is an international program, there has to be some balance in the consortia. We want to have both sides active. So if you have a project between Sweden and Korea, you have to have at least 25% of the budget in one of the countries, not more than 75% in the other. There must be some kind of balance. And also because it's an SME program, we want that 50% of the budget should come from costs within the SMEs themselves. And here is some more data on the SME profile of the Eurostars program. 50% work done by the SMEs, we covered that. 76% are actually SMEs working with R&D, 76% of the participants. And a lot of companies, they're not very big. I mean, 83% have less than 50 employees. So it's about SMEs and also about micro companies. And in some cases also startup companies. 40% of the workforce is dedicated to R&D in general. So a lot of these companies have more than this baseline of 10% of the workforce working with R&D. And this is the size of a typical Eurostars project. And it's the medium, so they can be bigger and they can be smaller, and they are equally successful. But 3 to 4 participants from 2 to 3 countries, average duration of the project 30 months, and average budget 1.4 million. And the idea here is that you just team up with a few partners that you really need. You need their knowledge, you need their capabilities to bring your innovation forward. And you turn up with these organizations and put your idea to the market. So Eurostars projects are a lot about being a smaller, more focused projects. And you don't have to build a very large consortium to be successful in the evaluation. And in the end, here are some numbers. It's the Swedish funding rules for Eurostars products. And Vinnova is the funding agency here. And we will give 50% of the cost for the Swedish small and medium-sized enterprises. We also have some contribution to large companies, 30%, because we think that they play an important role in the projects as being a little bit about the locomotive, helping the SMEs to reach market. And the universities, institutes, and public sector, they generally get 70% of their costs. We also, to be a little bit more predictable, we have a roof in our funding per project to the Swedish side. And this is 5 million Swedish kronor. It's approximately 500,000 euros, a little bit less now with the, with the exchange rates being a little bit poor. And the yearly budget is around 10 million euro. And so far we have a success rate for Swedish participants in Eurostars. And this is the kind of the, if you calculate the number of applications and the number of successful applications, you have a success rate of 30%. And this is quite good. If you compare to a lot of the EU programs, the success rate can be 10% or even worse sometimes. So this is quite good. And this is also in a way because it's national funding involved in the bottom. So when you combine all the national funding from these 36 Eurostars participating countries, you get a decent budget. And we have 2 call deadlines per year, one in September and one in February, March each year. And the next one is 12th of September, and then we have another opportunity 13th of February 2020. And if you're a Swedish participant and you want to know more about Eurostars, you can enter our webpage and find some information there and a lot of useful links for further information to the Eurostars webpage and other sources of information. And I'm sure that KIAT in Korea have equal resources for the Korean participants to find the necessary information. And now I'm going to end the Eurostars part of the presentation with a few project examples. It was always nice to be able to show the real thing, what's been done. And this is, of course, a project between South Korea and Sweden. And on the Swedish side, we had an SME company, Technology Nexus, secured business, and we have a research institute. And on the Korean side, we also have an SME, APROS company limited, and Lilai, an SME, and we also have universities. So this was a rather large Eurostars project, SMEs and research organizations on both sides. And this is about delivering Internet of Things security solutions. So this is definitely in the ICT sector. And as we have learned today, this is a very important sector for collaboration between our countries. And here we have another one. And this project is about control unit based on thermal imaging. So this is another type of technology. And here it was 3-country collaboration: Norway, South Korea, and Sweden. Swedish partner was Research Institute Acreo, and Korean partners was Launuri SME and the National Nanofab Center, a research institute. So this is another example of a Eurostars project between our countries. And now I'm going on a little bit again and talk about the other Eureka instrument, the clusters. And the clusters, there are another type of projects. They are larger consortia. It's generally more countries involved and more partners from each country than in the Eurostars project. And the logic is a little bit different. The cluster projects are often about strategic collaboration in research and innovation. It's about developing new technological standards in an area. It can be about building technology platforms that can be further developed to real applications about the different participants in the consortium. So the cluster projects are big, and there are can be a little further from the market than the Eurostars projects. But there's big flexibility in both instruments, so this is not always true. What's important about clusters are that they are within Eureka. They are a little bit freestanding. We will see that there are several different Eureka clusters in different technology areas, and each have a cluster board that is kind of dominated by the industry. So the industry sets the agenda of each cluster. And then there's also a public authority group where national agencies like Vinnova and Kiat participate and give our view on the projects. As I said, it's a large number of participants in the clusters. Major European industries are there, and of course also industries of Korea. And research organizations and academia also. So the clusters are both a funding tool for funding research and innovation, but they are also very important industry research communities and networks. So this is a little bit more of the same. They are industry driven, they are open to global collaboration, and the Eureka clusters can work in the value chain to create innovative solutions. And also here, the projects are very much bottom-up. We will see that there are different clusters that work in different thematic areas, but they are quite wide, so there's still a very large amount of flexibility to be able to do what you want to do with the project. And as in the clusters, it's more maybe the big industry, the large companies that are in the lead. Unlike in Eurostars, where that was more SME driven. So here it's a very good platform for large industry to collaborate with SMEs that are in their value chain. So this is also a very nice feature of the Eureka clusters. And here we have the typical cluster project. So you see, there are examples of quite small projects. They have to be at least 2, and some are. But it's more common that you have maybe 10 or more participants from 3 to 4 countries. A very usual approach is that there are small sub-project consortia set up in each country. Duration is similar to the Eurostars projects, 2.5 to 3 years. And the average project cost, as you can see, they can be much more expensive, much higher cost, depending on the volume of the project. And if you think especially about collaboration between Korea and Sweden, we have 2 Eureka clusters that are most useful, that are supported by both countries. And one of them is Eureka cluster Celtic Next. It's been along for a long time. Celtic has been around since many years, but they are renewing it and then are a little bit rebranding it, and the current name is Celtic Next. And as you can see, it focuses on telecommunications and ICT. So this is, of course, a very good platform, considering what we heard today about very strong industry ICT in Sweden and Korea. So this is a very good platform for collaboration. And the other Eureka cluster that is going to especially focus on today is ITEA. And the current edition of ITEA is ITEA 3. And this is also very, very wide thematically. It's about software development, software-intensive systems. And now they especially focus on software innovation and digital transformation. So here you can do a lot of things in the projects. There are examples of ITEA projects in, of course, in ICT. Can also be in life science, like digital transformation of hospitals. That was also a strong sector. And here again we have the Vinnova funding rules for the Swedish participants. Here the funding model is a little bit different. In Eurostars it was like a straight model where each type of participant get a certain amount of funding. Here it's a little bit like Vinnova gave 50% to the Swedish part of the consortium. And then the consortium a little bit have to negotiate between themselves. And within this frame of Vinnova funding, the SMEs can get up to 50%, the large companies can get up to 30%, and universities, institutes, public sector up to 100%. But in real life, they probably have to negotiate it a bit, and they will not. Each of them will not get maximum funding according to this theoretical rules. But they still will get a good contribution from the Swedish state. And the yearly budget here is 8.5 million euros, and the success rate is again around 30%. And in the clusters, there's Vinnova is actually following the cluster consortia with Swedish participants. And as a general rule, they first they make a project outline, a very early application indicating what the consortium want to do, and Vinnova will get feedback. We will give feedback on that, and then we will follow the project as it develops and give advice according to what we see as important in the project. So we are one of the stakeholders in this, and because of this, that we have kind of constant communication with the consortia, with Swedish participants, the success rate can be also so high. Because if we see that for some reason there are considerable weaknesses in a proposal, we also give advice that maybe they should take it back and improve it, and then they come back again. So here are the Swedish contacts at Vinnova for the two clusters we have talked about here today. For Celtic, we have Jessica Svennebring, and for ITEA, we have Andreas Alström. And if you want to hear more about these clusters, you can always talk to me as a kind of the general Eureka person at Vinnova. But if you want to have more details, it's better also to talk directly to these two persons, and they can give you very detailed advice about how to go ahead with a cluster application. And for the cluster ITEA, they have project outline days in Amsterdam quite soon, beginning of September this year. And this is a very good opportunity to meet potential project partners from other countries. So I'm sure Korea will be there, and Sweden will try to be there as well. And there will be matchmaking sessions set up by Enterprise Europe Network. And they are very good opportunities to pitch project ideas, find new project partners, and collaborate. And I can also say that Vinnova will support this event with a travel grant for Swedish small and medium-sized companies. And then to come to the end of my presentation, I will give you also examples of cluster projects. And here we have a rather big one. It's collaboration between 4 countries. We have Sweden, Latvia, Finland, Canada, and Korea. So it's a very international consortium. It's also an interesting applications. This is not. It's about autonomous data centers. So these are like you're setting up these big data hubs, and you want them to be a little bit independent and don't always be dependent on human intervention. So the project idea here was to make them to be able to continue operation, even in case of power failure, failing components, overheating, etc. And here we see some of the Swedish participants in the consortium. So Ericsson, large company of Sweden, was represented, and Swedish research organizations, and so on. And then there were similar consortia in each of these countries, a bit larger and smaller. And here's another one. This is a Celtic project, the other cluster we talked about. And this is about 5G and health. So that's also a very interesting topic. And future e-health applications powered by 5G. And here, this was really a huge project. You have countries, Korea, Sweden, Finland, France, Spain, Germany, Hungary, Israel, Turkey, and Ukraine. So big projects, many project participants. And also very important area of operation to study the advantage of 5G in the healthcare sector and validate new e-health solutions. So I think I'm going to stop there because this was the last slide of my presentation. So if there are any questions. Well,
Yes.
if not, you are always welcome to contact me and my also colleagues here, Lars Nybom at Vinnova, that also works with Eureka. And I know that Ciro Vasquez, he knows a thing or two as well. And you can always contact us, come to us, and we will help you with your product idea.
Thank you so much, Mata. Kan du switcha? Well, actually, it's the last presentation. I can do it without the slides, but we will see. Yes, that's the last one. It's the most beautiful. It's around money. Those of you that want to participate in the event we're planning to do in October, together with Kiat in Seoul, those are SMEs, have the right to apply for travel grants from Vinnova. It's outside of Europe, so we're talking about up to 25,000 Swedish crowns, and that's to pay for a flight ticket, up to 4 nights at the hotel, economy class, everything, and you get the money after you came back, and you can show the receipt. And to apply to this, you need to contact the responsible person at our department for travel grants. Is my colleague Brigitta Boman, and this information will be available in our website, hopefully on Thursday or latest on Monday. We're planning to have this meeting in October, the 10th and 11th of October, and with the kind support of Kiat. And please, you have any question, otherwise, I would like all of you being here, coming to us, sharing this time with us before the summer. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.